It's the worldwide flood that explains why the world looks the way it does today. And when you leave this flood out, you misinterpret the past, including the time frame of the past. One of the objections and criticisms many people who don't believe in the Bible is literally true propose is that there's not enough water, and there never could have been enough water here on Earth to have covered the highest mountains of the Earth. This is because they assume everything in the past has always happened exactly the same way at the same rates we see it happening today. Now, if you were to just shove up on the ocean basins and smooth out the Earth, there's enough water in the oceans of our planet to cover this entire globe 8,000 feet deep. But the Himalaya mountains are 29,000 feet. There's an assumption that the mountains have always looked the way they have in all of recorded history. You see, the Bible tells us that in the later stages of the flood, that the valleys sank down, the mountains rose up, and the waters returned from whence they had come. So it's a year-long event where water is being forced out of the earth and up over the land surfaces. The processes that are going on are causing 40 days and 40 nights of continual rain. But in the later stages of the flood, as the massive volcanism and massive land movements and even continental shelf shifting would have been going on at rapid rates, much faster than today, the ocean basins as they're sinking down would have forced huge plates of land to be shoved upwards, forming the mountains of today only about 4,500 years ago. So the Himalayas, the Rockies, the Andes, all of these mountain chains of today would have formed late in the flood, not tens and hundreds of millions of years ago, but quite recently. So those are two very different viewpoints of understanding why do the mountains exist. How do we know which one is true? Well, it's by using scientific observation. All of the mountains all over the earth have bent and folded layers of sediment. Now, these bent and folded sediment layers are not broken and fractured. They're just smooth, continuous curves. Now, as sediments are dropping out of water and forming layers, they're going to form a flat layer. And if they sat there for tens of millions of years before another layer might form, for instance, if this was limestone, sort of a white color, and then you had sand dropping out to form sandstone, and that forms over more millions of years, they would cement themselves and become solid rock like this tile, if that is true. Now, you have solid rock that is sometime later being shoved up to form the mountains of today. It isn't going to smoothly bend. It's solid. It's hard. I mean, I could soak this tile in water for 100 years and it's still going to be a solid rock-like surface. So once the layers are formed, if you're going to bend them, even if you try to do it with a lot of force over a surface and try to bend them, they don't bend. They break and crack and fracture. But that's not what we see. So what do those who want to hang on to the time frame of the rock layers having been formed over millions of years, what do they do with this kind of evidence? Well, they speculate that deep in the earth, where there's no space for movement, the rock layers had to have bent without fracturing. Well, that doesn't fit the evidence either. You see, if you think of these sediment layers as the pages of this Bible, when you bend the Bible, because there's freedom for movement, the pages slide over one another and they form that bend. But the top of the bend has been extended and the inside of the bend has been compressed. So if those rock layers were solid and somehow bent without fracturing, you would see a different density or a different structure. It's called morphology. If all of those layers were formed during those first 7 or so months of the flood, and then it's shoved upward, it's still going to be relatively soft, like a very thick, viscous fluid. And then when it bends, it will just flow into its new position, and you'll get the same structure from top to bottom. And that's what we find. You see, when you actually look at the evidence from the world around us, you find out it is abundantly clear what the Bible has told us is true. There has been a worldwide flood, and even the rock layers of the earth could not be as old as we're being told they are.